Stanjabalisco here from the black holes of Dakota Territory, United States of abundant foolishness. I'd like to share a little bit of my foolishness with you. For I am the king of the troglodytes, the king of fools. No one surpasses me when it comes to stupid ideas, and I am going to share one with you. It works out here in the black holes more often than not. It might not work in some other places, so I'm not advising you to try this, but I'm not advising you against it either. It's a form of reverse psychology known as sweet-talking your adversary to death. I just talked to my neighbor today who's been trying to sell her house. I don't know how hard she's been trying, but eventually she will succeed, and I'll have a next-door neighbor. The house has been vacant for quite some time. I'll have a next-door neighbor, and I guess my greatest fear is that that next-door neighbor will have an incessantly barking dog that he or she likes to tie up right outside, right across from my bedroom. It's amazing how much people do that to each other. They tie dogs each other up and let them bark and 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 bark. Well, you know, I'll tell you something. If I were tied up that way, I'd bark too. And these people don't seem to realize that dogs should roam free. So what I'd go and do is I would go next door to the neighbor and I would propose that we fence our yards in jointly. His yard and mine together, if we need a fence, or create some kind of a running, confining device, something that'll let that dog run around our yards without getting away. And I'll say, let's let the dog have the run of both our yards. Let's give this poor creature some space, shall we? I wonder what the... Now, if it's a Doberman who's going to bite my nose off, I might think twice. But if it's just a pup who's yapping outside my bedroom, maybe I'll try it. It's amazing how often being nice to somebody who seems like a jerk can really work wonders. Because it's in your mind, in my mind, that the person is a jerk. What God thinks of the person is entirely unknown to me. I remember another time when I opened my car door and tapped the side of the car next to me, and that thing was an old wreck. And the people inside went ballistic. I couldn't hear them, but I could see them in there. They were freaking out. They were having a fit because my door had tapped their dented up old wreck, apparently. This was in Deadwood. I went over to their window, to the driver's side window, and I motioned for him to roll his window down. Now that's not the wisest thing to do in some parts of the world, but it seemed to be okay to me at the time. The worst thing the guy could do is pull out a gun and blow my head off. I mean, that's the worst he could do. So I said to him, "Well, what seems to be the problem, sir?" And he said, "Well, you bashed my car." I said, "Well, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to." And the guy said, "That's all we wanted to hear." And that was pretty much the end of it. I didn't have to do that. I could have just walked away. I could have just let the guy have his fit. But that ended his fit, right like that. It's really amazing sometimes how sweet medicine can cure the most bitter diseases. That is the wisdom of an old black hole's troglodyte. You can take it or leave it. I assume no liability for what might happen to you if you take it and you don't happen to get the same reaction. But I'll take all the credit if the guy loves you and you become best friends. it helps to have a little bit of martial arts, but I don't tell people about stuff like that very often. I mean, you don't. I've never had to deal with anything like that. So and that's the art of martial arts, is never having to use it. But that's the topic for another video from an old troglodyte. For now, all I'll say to you is, have a good night, have a good weekend, have good luck. So long.